Okay. I took my hair down and I immediately regret it because now it's everywhere. Okay, two sinusoidal equations. This shouldn't be too hard for you guys to remember because it should look like vertex form of a quadratic, like you've seen the letters before. They kind of all do the same thing in transformations. You've seen them in transformations. Pretty easy stuff. Because they're like, yeah, crazy lady. Nowhere on your formula sheet, but you need to know this format. So, the difference between these are just that one sine and one's cos, right? That's the big difference between those two thingy formulas there. The letters all represent the same thing. So A is your amplitude. B, remember B is not your period, but it's used to help to find your period. So period equals 2 pi divided by B. Right? So we use B to find our period. B is not our period. I'll say it again and again and again. C is our starting point. This is our horizontal shift. So when I say starting point, in a sine graph, that would be your first median. Where does a cosine graph start? First maximum. So yeah, if our amplitude was 1, then yes, it would start at a 1. So when I talk about the starting point, we're looking for that first median, that first maximum. I will tell you that mathematically speaking, it is usually our first positive. You guys are like, crazy lady, I don't even know what that means. So what I mean is that it's your first positive median, or it's the first positive domain where you hit a max, okay? Usually, you can totally do it. There's like 800 equations that all mean the same thing that are all 100% correct, but usually we use our first positive domain. And if you don't know what that means, the more we graph them, the more you'll see what I'm talking about. And median is our vertical shift. So this is the physical middle of the graph. All right, here we go. We are going to graph some stuff. Okay, what is my domain? Are going to be in degrees. Okay. I don't like this marker. I don't like what I'm using. I'm doing a change. No surprise that I'm doing a change halfway through. Okay. So I like to have my handy dandy ruler, and we're going to start with some training wheels. Are you guys okay with training wheels? Okay, you know how when you learned how to ride a bike, you started like with those little wheels to help keep you straight? We're going to start with some lines to help keep us straight. And we got to put them on as dash lines because they don't really exist. So what's our median? What's the median of this function? Where is it?
3.
3. That's my median. That's going to tell me where I am. So what's my amplitude?
1.
Okay, so my amplitude is 1. So what's my maximum? If I start at 3 and I'm going to go up 1, what's my maximum? 4. What's my minimum? Start at 3 and I'm going to go down 1, so my minimum is going to be at 2. Everybody okay with that? So we've just put the training wheels on our bike. So like, you're crazy. So remember that these all have to do, well, I guess this one as well, these are all dealing with your range. So these are all y-axis stuff. And I start there, right? So it's your median, your amplitude, your max, min. Max, min are not given in the equation, but I can find them based on my median and my amplitude. So I know my graph has to occur on that y-axis between 2 and 4. Right? So 1, 2, 3, Okay, so I'm gonna put some training wheels on my graph. So I know you told me my minimum was at 2. And so I'm just gonna put some training wheels on so I can see, have a visual of where important values are. Now they have to be dashed lines because they don't occur. So this is my max, this is my median, and this is my minimum. So these are my training wheels. And it's always good to start with a little bit of support. If you guys don't like this, you don't have to do it, okay? You do not need to draw these lines on the graph. They are for us just to help us visualize. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, then that's fine. Okay, let's talk about the period of the graph. What's the period of the graph? Okay, better question. What's the B value of the graph? Okay, so yes, B is 1, and yes, period is 2 pi. So you're both correct. So there's an invisible number 1 here. So my B is equal to 1, and then I'm going to use my formula. So my period is going to be 2 pi. But am I doing this in radians? No. So what's my period? 360. All right. What kind of graph do we have? Do we have a sine graph or a cos graph? Sine. So sine graphs start at, okay, it's not going to start at 0 this time. It's going to start at, let's give it a title. Is it going to start at a maximum?
Median.
Yes, a median. So sine starts at a median, right? And we knew that from before. So I'm going through all the steps of how we graph this. Now, this tells me where my first median is. Where's my first median? First median, so this tells me where my first median, what kind of 30? It's a negative 30 degrees, right? Because it's a positive 30 in here, so that means it starts at negative 30. So that means my graph starts this way. We haven't done any of these before, which is okay. We're good. So now I'm going to teach you a little trick. This is my trick. This is my, what do I call them? I forget. I had a name for them. Helping points. Take your period and divide it by 4. This is not a formula anywhere. This is me trying to be helpful. So my period is 360. Oh, I know what I call them. Something happens points. So these are my something happening points. So I take 360 and I divide it by 4. What do I get? 90 degrees. So every 90 degrees, something happens. That's really descriptive, eh? So every 90 degrees, you're either at a max, a median, or a min. So these are my something happening points. So where does my graph start? Starts at negative 30, right? You guys with me? So if this is negative 30, that would be 0, 30, 60, oh, maybe I shouldn't, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210. I'm not going to have enough to do a full period. 240, 270. I'm not going to have enough to do a full period. Well, that was bad angling for me, but that's okay. Okay, so you guys told me that my sine starts at a median. So at negative 30, is my first median. There's my first point. And you told me my median was at 3. Now I've told you every 90 degrees, something happens. So 90 degrees from 30, where am I? So negative 30 here, and I got to travel 90 degrees. Exactly, I'm at 60.
60.
So in a sine graph, where do I go if there's no reflection? I go from a median to a maximum. Okay, thanks. Not just doing my workout here, although super helpful. Okay, if I'm at a maximum, where do I go next? Median. But I need to go 90 from 60, so where am I? I'm at 150 now, right? So from here to here is 90 degrees, and here to here is 90 degrees. So I'm going to be back to a median. Where do I go next? I think I heard you say it, Xander. Minimum. And then I need another 90, so where would I be? 330. So that would be at 330, which is off the graph. Where would I be? Median again. So this is a period of your sine graph. And that's how we graph them. There was a lot of talking and not a lot of mathing on this. I'll try to do a better scale so we get it a little bit more condensed next time.
So that's the question, that's the final answer?
Yeah, because all I asked you to do was graph it.
We can still do a table of values, right?
You can totally do a table of values. Table of values will never lead you wrong. But this will be faster when we get the hang of it. You guys are like, Scallion, that was 12 minutes of explaining time. That's not fast. I get it. I get it. Okay, here we go. We're going to do another one that I'm going to talk you all the way through. All right. So, where is our median? Median is at
-1.
brilliant, -1. So, we have an amplitude of 2. So our maximum is at, ignore the negative for a second.
2.
Oh, try it again. So we're at -1
Oh.
and we go up 2.
1.
1.
+1.
Okay. Our minimum, we're at -1. We're going to go down to -3. Does everybody know how I got all those? Remember that amplitudes are considered absolute values. What does this tell us? It's a reflection in the x-axis. Okay, reflection in x-axis. What does that tell? Where do cosgraphs normally start at? They start at a max, but there's a reflection. So where are we starting? Minimum.
Min.
So this means we start at a min. Does that make sense to everybody? Sort of, kind of? This is the first time you're seeing it, so it's okay if it doesn't make sense right away.
Quick question.
Yeah.
If you have a reflection on a sine graph, would you still just start at a median?
Yes, but sine graph, so your first point is still the median, but on a positive sine graph, you
go to a min?
Yes, that's exactly what you do.
Okay.
So for those of you guys who didn't get that, on a sine graph, we still started a median, but on a positive one, we would have headed up. So we started a median and we head down. Okay, does that make sense? You'll get it, you really, really will. Let's talk about our period. It's 2 pi. You're right. So my period is 2 pi. So for those of us who aren't familiar, not sure, what's the number in front of that bracket? It's the magical 1. It's the invisible number 1. So b is 1, and our formula is period is equal to 2 pi over b. So period is equal to 2 pi over 1, and that's how we got the period of 2 pi. And as you see it, like, you don't need to do this math to show me 2 pi, because hopefully you all know if it's a 1, then there's nothing really exciting happening there. Okay, so where is my horizontal shift? Where is my first minimum happening at? So first minimum, and the reason why it's a minimum is because of that. The first minimum happens at negative pi. Everybody good with that? Okay, do we need our training wheels? Do you want to put the dashed lines on them? No? Okay, you guys are like, okay, I got this. I can do this. All right. Okay. -1, -2, -3, -4, 1, 2. All right, let me see if I can do this better. Ooh, what's my something happening point? Something. What did I do? I took my period and I did what to it?
Divide by 4.
Period
Uh,
divided by
pi
4.
over 2.
So 2 pi divided by 4. So every pi over 2, something's happening. I call those my something happening points. It's not mathematically correct, but it tells you where your next max, min, or median is, which is super helpful. And this, if the period was 2 pi last time, and something happened every 90 degrees, and the period's 2 pi this time, the something happening point is still 90 degrees, but we're just giving it in radians, right? Okay, now I just got to try not to screw this one up. Okay. So negative, I guess I'll go negative pi here. And then this would be 0. This would be positive pi. This will be 2 pi. Oh, I've made this one really tiny now. Jeez Louise. This will be 3 pi. This will be 4 pi. We're going to get like a ton. We're going to get at least 2 rotations in on this one. Okay, you guys didn't want the training wheels, so we're going to do the best. Okay, so my first minimum starts at negative pi. So where's my minimum? So at negative pi, I'm starting at a -3. I go 90 degrees. 90 degrees. So this would be negative pi over 2. So my next line over, where am I? I'm at a minimum, so where am I going?
Median.
You're headed to your median, which is at -1. And then I'm going to go another half pi. Where am I at?
2.
How about 1?
Oh,
I knew where you were going with that, but yeah. So we're headed to a max, right? And then at pi, if I'm at a max, I'm going to a median. If I'm at 3 pi over 2, minimum. Guys, I missed a point. I put 0 in there. Jeez Louise, I missed a point. I screwed up my whole graph. I hope you guys are doing better than I am.
Yeah.
I skipped a point altogether, and I have no whiteout. Jeez Louise. And I'm not using an erasable pen. Okay. Not gonna panic. Anybody see, like, as soon as I saw this, my graph was a wonky shape, right? Like I knew I did something wrong. So this is right. This is where this point should be. This one should be here. This one should be a median. This one should be a minimum. Okay, I'm gonna try to be better after this. Back to a median. You guys are like, I don't know what these points are. You just see dots everywhere? Okay, wrong. Where? Mr. Caldwell. You guys did better than I did though, right? You put them in the right place?
No.
You copied me.
And I'm
Fatal.
giving you
Ow.
a pen.
We trusted you.
Okay, Xander, you've been with me all year. You know that that's not a smart move.
I know, but we still trusted you. We had faith in your ability.
Well, and you know what? I am sorry I let you down. Okay. Okay, so I'm at a median here. At 2 pi, I'm at a maximum. You guys are like, whoa, that's crazy, lady. But remember that periods go from maxes to maxes, or min to mins, or 3 medians. So if I look at this, at negative pi, I'm at a minimum. I hit my next negative at pi. How far have I traveled between these two? 2 pi. So it's still that. If I start here, my first maximum is at 0. My next maximum is at 2 pi. I've traveled 2 pi. Like, so you can measure it from different places. Everybody good with that? Now I'm going to connect the dots. So notice that my graph has to continue that wave pattern. Does anybody else need the whiteout? So my arrows have to be pointing in the appropriate direction. And it has to be symmetrical. So as soon as I saw that, I knew I had screwed up because it just didn't look right. Oh, it's a Friday. It's a Friday. All right. Okay. We're doing good, guys. We're doing good. Now I have whiteout, so it doesn't look as terrible. All right. Okay, so this one's a little bit more difficult. And this was a question on your chapter 1 test. If you do, can I just flip, I'm going to flip back to the first page of notes. B sits outside of the bracket. So if that B is not separated by a bracket, you have to factor it out. Okay? So before I do anything, because there's no bracket here, no bracket means common factor it out. Does that make sense to everybody? There's no bracket there, so you got to common factor it out. Because this will not give you your right shift. Okay, so here we go. Y equals 3 sine bracket 2. So what I'm doing is that's x. Now I got to divide this by 2. 2 pi over 3 divided by 2. So it would be 2 pi over 6. So let's do that off on the side. Maybe I'll do that off on a piece of paper here. Oh, I wrote all over that paper. So we have 2x minus. I'm just going to do this part just so we can do it quickly. So if I take out that 2, really what I'm doing is I'm dividing everything by 2 here. So that's going to leave me with x. And I got 2 pi over 3 divided by 2. So that's 2 pi over 3 multiplied by 1/2, which gives me 2 pi over 6. But we're going to reduce that to pi over 3. So now when I go back to this one, does that make sense to everybody? So we did a lot of math on that second sheet of paper. Yeah, we'll just go with that for right now. Okay, we're doing good, guys. Doing good. We're laughing. Okay, so now I can proceed. Now everything I did up here, I'm going to do down here, but with this equation. This is the one I need to do the graphing off of it. Okay, amplitude is 3. So my max is 5. My min is
1.
what kind of 1?
1.
It's
Yes.
Is it? No, because 2 minus 3 is It should be negative 1. Okay, I know I screwed up on where I graph my points, but okay, let's think about it. Where's our median? So if my median's at 2, so we're going to add 3 to get to my maximum at 5. And if I minus 3, where am I? Negative 1. Right? So those are those training wheels. I know, and that's the thing, like there's so many numbers that are so close. And that like it's really easy if you don't take your time to screw this up. That's always a big vote of confidence, eh? So 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2. Okay, let's talk about the period. Can you do it in your head? What's the b value?
It's pi.
So the period's pi, because my b value is 2, and the formula is 2 pi divided by b. Take the 2 out, my period's pi. So now I'm going to find my something happening point. Pi over 4. All right. So things just got crazy.
So can we like use like period divided by 4 for every graph?
Yeah.
Like the ruler?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a nice little like side note, like little trick on the side to graph. So that means there is 45 degrees in between a max, a min, a median, right? And so these are I was going to use a bad word. These are the not nice graphs because where is my graph starting?
Pi over 3.
Pi over 3, positive pi over 3. So, and it's a sine graph. So I've got my median at pi over 3, right? Here's the thing though. These have been nice. We've had pi's, we've had half of pi's, but now I'm starting at 60 degrees. And where's my next point? It's 45 degrees away. So it's at 105 degrees. So like, so what do we do, Scallion? What do we do? Base 12s. Base 12s. So that's the thing, right? Like my graph starts, and degrees make more sense. So it starts at 60 degrees, and my next point is 45 degrees away, so that's 105. That's no fun. But what I could do is I could say denominators of 12, so this would be 4 pi over 12. This travels 3 pi over 12. So where's my next point at? 7 pi over 12. Does that make sense to everybody? When common denominators, then we can just count over. All right, okay. I see the glazed look in your eyes, but we're going to try this. So I'm going to say that this is pi over 12. Each increment's going to be pi over 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be 4 pi over 12. And then 5 pi over 12 will go 6 pi over 12, 8 pi over 12, 10 pi over 12. We're not going to get a full period in here doing it this way, but you guys will be okay with that. 12 pi over 12, 14 pi over 12, 16 pi over 12, and 18 pi over 12. And I'm using denominators of 12 because I've got a 4 and I've got a 3. So common denominator there is a 12. That's why I picked 12ths. All right, let's try to graph this bad boy. Where do I start? 4 pi over 12. And I'm on a sine graph, so where am I starting? Median. This is 4 and this is 5. We're gonna go right up to the top there. So my median is at 2. So at 4 pi over 12, I'm at 2. Where do I go from here? To a maximum, and I gotta go 3 pi over 12. So 3 ticks. 1, 2, 3, and I'm up at a maximum. And I go another 3 pi over 12, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm back to a median. And then I go 1, 2, 3, and I'm to a minimum here. Oh, we are going to get a period. A period is a pi. Jeez Louise, I missed it. And then we're going to go over 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to be back at a median. There was a big sigh from Xander for those of you who didn't hear it at home. So this one was a doozy. This one was, I have to remember to factor, and I have crappy not working together increments. I mean, they do work together, but you've got to find the common denominators. And if we look at this, we start at 4 pi over 12, and the third median is at 16 pi over 12. How far have we traveled? 1 pi, because it'd be 12 pi over 12, which is 1 pi, which is a period, so I can check if I did it correctly. Does that make sense to everybody? Kind of, sort of? All right. That's it for me.